Realty Income Corporation, stock ticker O, is one of the most popular real estate investment trusts out there for quite a few different reasons that we are going to touch on in today's video, but we also want to decide if it's trading at a good value. You can see currently it's sitting right below $60 a share at $59.98. Over the past year, it's down around 17.24%, and year to date, down around 6%. So it has been on a little bit of a downward trend. You can see its 52-week high sitting at around $76 per share, and the 52-week low, it's getting pretty close to that range, sitting at around $55.50. Now the starting dividend yield sitting very nice at 5.18%. That's a pretty nice starting dividend yield. And it is worth mentioning that just a few days ago, the company did release its latest quarter's earnings report. You can see Q2 FFO, that's funds from operations, of $1.02, which was in line with analyst expectations, and the revenue of $1.02 billion was a beat by over $105 million. That was a pretty nice beat on the revenue standpoint. But what is it about Realty Income Corporation that makes it such a popular real estate investment trust? Well, I'll speak from my personal experience. There's a couple of different things that I like about this company. Obviously, the starting dividend yield is nice, but whenever there's a nice starting dividend yield, you want to see if the company can still grow dividends and also sustain those dividends. So let's go ahead and look at the dividend history. And this is what's so impressive about Realty Income Corporation. If we zoom out, you can see a very steady history of increasing those dividend payments year after year. If we zoom out even more, you can see they started tracking it back in around 1994. And look at that graph. That is a beautiful dividend increase graph. That's exactly what we're looking for. And if we look at the dividend growth rates, usually for real estate investment trusts, you won't see anything crazy, but overall, it's pretty clear that they're doing a pretty good job of increasing those dividend payouts year over year, with the 10-year dividend growth rate sitting at 4.4 and the 5-year sitting at 3.7. If we jump over to our dividend safety tab here on Seeking Alpha, I'll scroll down. And now typically what we do when we judge the safety of a dividend stock's payout, we look at the payout ratio, but for a real estate investment trust, the payout ratio is not what we need to be looking at. What I like to look at is the AFFO payout ratio. And we can see the AFFO payout ratio looking forward is sitting at 76.09, and the trailing 12 months sitting at 76.24. For me, that's a pretty healthy range for a real estate investment trust. So the dividend history, the dividend growth, and the dividend safety, all huge positives in my opinion. But something that's worth noting as well is this company is very well diversified with the properties that it holds. If we scroll down, we can see the industries of Realty Income's properties. We can see 11.1%, convenience stores, around 10%, grocery stores, dollar stores around 7%, home improvement close to 6%, drugstores 5.8%, restaurants 5.5%, and then we have restaurants, health and fitness, automotive services, and general merchandise, a little all below 5%. And if we scroll down even further and look at their 20 largest clients, a lot of these are companies that I'm personally invested in and believe in long term, which is again, a huge net positive. A real estate investment trust is only as good as its tenants, so obviously we want to see strong tenants with good financials. And so we see pretty strong companies, like we have companies like Lowe's, we have Walmart's, we have a Lifetime Fitness, CVS, we have FedEx, we have Walgreens, we have Dollar Tree, Dollar General, a lot of companies that a lot of people are very familiar with. So in my opinion, all those reasons that I listed are reasons that this is one of the most popular dividend stocks. A phenomenal dividend history, a nice starting dividend yield with dividend growth, and a nice diversified set of tenants. But with all of that being said, is the company trading at a good value at its current prices? And I think that's worth digging into more. And so to do that, we're going to be jumping into my REIT valuation spreadsheet to be looking at a few different valuation models of Realty Income Corporation. If you'd like to be able to download this spreadsheet, then you can head over to my Patreon page at the link in the description. But okay, let's go ahead and come up here and plug in the stock ticker O and hit enter, and you can see all of this data will automatically load in. Now we're currently looking at a 500-day change chart. So you can see previously over the past couple of years, it has had a lot of price points where it was trading at a much higher range. And right now it is near that 52-week low. We've already talked about the dividend data, currently paying out around $3.07 per share, which gives them a yield of around 5.12%. Now it's showing the payout ratio for O, but like we already talked about, we want to be looking at the AFFO payout ratio, which is a lot closer to around 76%. If we come down here, we can see analysts currently have a target price of around $69.63, institutional ownership pretty high at around 83%, and a beta of 0.79, so you will see a little less volatility than that of the market with this company. Now the first valuation model that we're going to be looking at is the AFFO multiples valuation, and essentially what we're doing is we're taking some companies that are similar in structure to O, we're looking at their stock price and looking at the price to AFFO multiple. We take the average price to AFFO multiple, which is 16.47, and we can see that Realty Income's price to AFFO sitting at 14.83. So when you compare it to those other companies in the market, it looks like that their price to AFFO is a little bit lower, meaning it's a little undervalued. So when we plug it into our formula, you can see we come to an intrinsic value of $66.58. Now, the next valuation model is one that I actually really strongly believe in when looking at a real estate investment trust that has a pretty strong history and a lot of data dating back quite some time. It's the historical price to FFO valuation model. What it does is it values the company based on how it's been trading in years past. So what we do is we look at the historical price per share over the past decade, and we also plug in the historical FFO per share over the past decade. Once we have that, we have our historical price to FFO over the past decade, and you can see it's charted out right here. So it has been on a slight upward trend, but it's come down a little bit over the past couple of years. You can see the average price to FFO right here over the last 10 years for Realty Income sitting at 18.7, but the current price to FFO sitting at 14.72. To me, that's an indicator that when you compare it to where it's been historically, it looks like the company is a little bit undervalued. So while it doesn't give us a specific price point, that is definitely worth taking note of. Now, the next valuation model, again, one of my favorites, the dividend discount model, it values a company based on how much they pay out in dividends and how much that dividend is increasing over time. Now, keep in mind, this company pays out dividends every single month. So this is the monthly dividend payouts over the past few years, and this is the yearly dividend payouts over the past few years. What I've done is I've plugged in the dividend growth rates year over year. You can see we have 3%, around 1%, around 5%, and a little over 3%. So that's an average growth rate of around 3.07%. Moving forward, I'm projecting a dividend growth rate of 3.5%, discount rate of 8%, and that gives us a dividend discount model price per share of $70.52. And you can see I have the FFO payout ratio listed over here, sitting at around 73.62%. So again, I do think these dividends are quite sustainable, especially when you look at those tenants. Now, the net asset value model is also listed on this spreadsheet. If you download this spreadsheet and you're interested in using it, it is here, but I don't typically use it in my videos because there's so many different variables that could play into this valuation. It's pretty easy to get a pretty wide range of numbers with your intrinsic value, so I don't typically use it. But here on the output tab, we can see the two valuations that we used, plus our historical price to FFO model, which we decided the company was undervalued according to. But with the AFFO multiples, we came to an intrinsic value of $66.62. And with the dividend discount model, we came to an intrinsic value of $70.52. When we average those two together, we come to an intrinsic value of $68.57. Current trading price a little under $60 a share, where there's a difference of around 12.5%. So with a 10% margin of safety, you could see your acceptable buy price sitting at around $61.71, and with a 20% margin of safety, our acceptable buy price sitting at around $54.86. Now, complete disclaimer as always, if we jump over to my personal dividend portfolio, which also you can download this on my Patreon, but if I blow this chart up, you can see Realty Income currently makes up a little over 5% of my dividend portfolio. I think the trend of them being able to slowly grow their dividends year after year will continue for quite some time, which makes me feel comfortable holding this company, and the starting dividend yield is definitely a nice boost as well, and it gives me some needed exposure to the real estate market. So overall, it does look like the company may be slightly undervalued at its current prices. I'm not personally planning on adding more right now because I already own a decent amount in my portfolio, but if you don't currently own this position, maybe it's worth looking into adding at its current prices. So there you go. There's a quick analysis on Realty Income Corporation. Go ahead and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below if you plan on buying or selling. If you'd like to be able to download any of my spreadsheets and join a community of dividend investors, then you can head over to my Patreon page at the link in the description. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.